My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Railway Empire 2. I have put off starting this series for a couple of days, been a little busy once again with that little thing we call real life, but I've managed to find a bit of spare time today when the house is nice and quiet to enable me to record uninterrupted and without any kids running around screaming in the background. It is half term at the moment here in the UK, so the kids haven't been away at school during the day, which has obviously limited my time that I've had available. So this series then, it's not going to be like the Railway Empire 1 series, which is currently on pause at the moment, where we're looking to get the perfect score on every task in every scenario. Instead, it's going to be a bit more of a casual playthrough. Obviously, we will try and get those perfect scores, of course, but it's not going to be the driving force behind my decisions and my strategies. If we don't get a perfect score on any of the scenarios, then it's something that we will come back to in a separate dedicated series, of course, but for the time being just expect a bit more of a casual, relaxed style playthrough. So let's jump straight into a new game then, shall we? We'll go into the campaign and we'll do chapter 1. Haven't completed it yet. I have played it for about a year in terms of in-game time, just to get a feel for the controls and what's new and what's different and what's changed. So yeah, that's why we've got no rank at the moment, but we are in Boston in 1830. We are the professor, we cannot change that, but I can change my name, so we will just go for Andrew, which is my name, of course. We cannot change our company name or our company initials, but we can see our pros and cons. We are eloquent, so the auction costs are reduced by 30%. We are fluent in business, so locomotives are 60% cheaper. That's a very nice little bonus right there. And to offset that, we receive 15% less revenue from any passengers and mail that we transport. So that is something to bear in mind. Here's a little bit of background filler about the character. If you just want to read that, then obviously you can pause it now and go ahead and read that, because I shall not be doing that. So let's jump in. Here's our game setup. We can't adjust anything, but things of note: 2.5 million with one competitor who is a regular strength. Tasks regular, inflation is off, everything's set to 100% in terms of costs and the likes. Unlimited refunds, region concessions are on, city founding is off. So let's start the game. Any cutscene intro, I will just skip it and we'll head straight into the action. Okay then, so here we are, January the 1st of 1830. We have 4 tasks on our initial task list. We need to deliver 8 loads of lumber into Boston by June of 1830. That's just one train load, that's very straightforward. 8 loads of sugar into Boston by June 1830, and again, that's one train, very straightforward. 320 passengers without changing trains from Boston to Portland, Maine. That should be relatively straightforward as well. And grow Boston to 25,000 citizens. We start at 20,000 or 20.5, so that shouldn't be too difficult either. So here's the level down. We have a few connection bonuses to start with, and I've noticed one big change in between Railway Empire 1 and Railway Empire number 2. Those of you who see my Railway Empire 1 videos know that with a connection bonus, whether that be a city or an industry, what you can do is connect it very cheaply into your network with a small station and a little bit of track to the nearest connection point in your network, receive the cash bonus, and then actually just delete the station and the rail line for a refund. You don't actually have to utilize it. That has changed. You now have to run a train on your line to actually get the connection bonus. So that little bit of cheese has been removed, shall we say. But here we are, we start in Boston. We already have a station here, Parker Terminal. This is supplied with lumber and with cattle from Parker Ranch and Carter Logging. Boston is just down here. This is the city we want to start growing and deliver the lumber and the sugar into, if you remember, so we will do that. We have sugar down here at Walker Estate, so the first connections are going to be a line into Boston from here and from here, and then we're also going to put a line from Boston to Albany and Boston up to Portland, because we do have to transfer those passengers between Portland and Boston as well. The reason we're also good for Albany is not only because we have this connection bonus here of 500,000, but Albany produces beer, Boston produces meat, so much like in Railway Empire 1, that is a mutually beneficial trade link right there, and them two will supply one another and help each other grow. So let's get started. We do have 200 research points available, so we could get foundations for cheaper bridges and warehouse straight away, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save for the 300 to get the speedometer, so we'll just disregard those points for now. And the first thing we'll do is, of course, build our station in the centre of Boston, and we'll have it in a north-south orientation like so, and then we'll build a track from Boston out to the station that we already have built for us up here at Parker Terminal. So let's just bring this in, and we'll go to that platform right there. We'll build that, and then what we'll do is we'll double track this in towards the city of Boston like so. I'm intentionally leaving these platforms open because platform number 1 will run up to Portland, and this will also run into Portland as well should we need to grow that city. So that's why I've gone for platform 2 both at Parker Terminal and at Boston. So track direction, this is where you do your signals. It's different to last time, so what we'll do is put down some signals there, and they're like so, nice and simple. That's all the signals on that little route now taken care of. If we go to our station here in Boston, we are going to give them a maintenance depot, so we'll go ahead and get that constructed straight away while we have plenty of money to play with, and we'll get our first rail line set up. So we're going from Parker Terminal, we're coming down into Boston. We'll call this the Cattle Wood to Boston line, nice and simple. Locomotive will be the John Bull. We'll have 2, I think, and this will be a freight only service. In Parker Terminal, we want to make sure that they're always leaving with a full load, and we'll let them take a mix of cattle and lumber. So we'll confirm that, and they will start on their way in a few moments when we unpause it. The next thing we're going to do then is connecting down here at this sugar farm we have just to the southwest, and this one will come out of platform number 1. And the terrain here is quite hilly, as we can see, so we want to be very careful that we don't shave off too much speed with the gradients, but it looks like in places we don't have much of a choice on that front. And we'll connect you into that platform right there, and then we'll do the same thing again. We'll double track it all the way back like so. Track orientation, direction, whatever you want to call it, is done. We want some railway buildings, of course. We need some supply towers, so let's put a supply tower pretty much in the middle there, and we'll put this one just there. Okay, that's that taken care of. We can set up yet another line, so we're going from Walker Station into Boston. This will be sugar to Boston. Locomotive, again, we'll stick with the John Bull. We'll just use 1 for this because there's not a big demand for sugar in Boston, as we'll see in a few moments. And then in Walker Station, we want to make sure they're always leaving with a full load, and we'll confirm that. So that's that taken care of. So that's 2 of the tasks soon to be ticked off once we start running, of course. The next thing you want to do is to connect into the city of Albany. So let's get ourselves a station here right in the middle of Albany, and let's run out a line from platform 1 over to the city of Boston. Now we have to have our first bridging experience at this point because we have a river here, and there's no 2 ways to avoid that. We have to go with it. And let's just eat into the ground a bit there and get that gradient down as much as we can. We've gone for 2%. Tunnel there, which we don't want, so let's avoid that tunnel. And then what we'll do is we'll avoid a tunnel there for a start. There we go. What we'll do here is just run parallel with these existing tracks, because that'll allow us to share that supply tower. And then these can run into platform number 4, like so. And again, same setup here. We're just going to double track this all the way back to the city of Albany, like so. 200,000. Okay. Track direction. We will go like so, and I think we'll put another supply tower maybe somewhere around here. Okay, so we've got a supply tower there and one down there, and we have this one here. That should be enough for that run, and that one will be enough for that little run right there. So we need another new line. So this is Albany to Boston. That's a decent enough name. We'll not change that. You can have... Oh, we need to select the train first. So yep, we'll go for the John Bull again, and we'll have 2 trains. Loading is automatic, so I don't need to do anything else here. There we go. And I think, what the heck, let's give it another line. This time from Boston heading to Albany. And that'll give us a total of 4 trains running that line. There we go. Okay, so that's that. The next thing we'll do then is get our station here in Portland. Make sure we've got enough room for as many platforms as possible. There we go. And we'll run out of platform 2 at this point. And this will connect into platform number 1 down here in Boston, which we've intentionally left available and unoccupied for this very reason, sharing a supply tower, so that's good. And then get you to connect it back in. Track direction, we'll go that way, like so. Do we want another supply tower? No, I think the 1 will be enough right there. And then another rail line here, then Boston to Portland. We'll keep it as automatic because it's a meet-to-meet city anyway, so it will tend to gravitate towards passengers. And we'll do the same thing where we have 2 starting from either side. So 2 from Boston like that. And then 2 from Portland like this. Confirm, and I think that's everything ready to go. We still have some spare funds, so I think we may as well go ahead and get some maintenance buildings at each of our stations, just to reduce the amount of breakdowns that we're having to deal with. So that's 1 in Portland, 1 at Parker Terminal. We already have 1 in Boston, of course. Let's get 1 over here at Walker Station as well. And then finally we want 1 up here in Albany. So let's get the station building. There it is. Construction, expansion, maintenance depot. And let's start the game rolling. We'll go straight to the fastest speed as our trains start to emerge and make their way on the lines for their inaugural journeys. Here's our first one just about to leave, and he's taken a full load of cattle, which does make sense because of course we have the meat industry down here in Boston, so there's going to be a high demand for that cattle. The next one should perhaps take a bit of a mix between cattle and lumber, but we shall see. He's waiting to be deployed. He should be able to be deployed straight away. I'm not sure what you are waiting for exactly. Oh, never mind. Next, shall we also do a line from here into Portland, because they have the cattle industry, sorry, the meat industry over here as well, so that would make sense. And again, we'll double track it here, run it in like that. Track direction, there we go. Let's give these a supply tower as well, like half at the halfway point should do. A new line, so Parker Terminal into Portland, and again this will be cattle, lumber to Portland with the John Bull train. 2 will be enough, and this will be freight only. And then over here we want to make sure you leave with a full load and confirm that. So now our second train also took a full head of cattle, or a full load of cattle I should say, into Boston. So I think what we'll do is we have a train about to return here. So this one right here, very temporarily, we'll just do that. So they prioritize lumber. Whoops, no, we want to confirm. There we go. So the next time out, you should pick up lumber rather than going for or waiting for a full load of cattle, but we shall see. Yep, there we go. We're picking up lumber, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want you to be doing. Have you left with a full load yet? Yes, you have, and we've just received the connection bonus, I believe.
Great. My company owes you.
That must be the first task completed, which is the sugar into Boston, so that's great to see. The train that just left here, did it have a full load of lumber? It did. So what we can do now is edit this rail line, go back here and just set that to normal. There we go. So then it'll take lumber if they need to, or cattle, or a mixture between the two. So let's have a look how we're doing on our task list, shall we? Ooh, bonus for new connection at another 125,000. So the first two have been taken care of, and that was fairly straightforward, as we saw. We've already started transporting passengers between the two cities of Boston and Portland, so that's great. And we just need to continue growing Boston. This whole beer meat thing should help on that front. Here's one of the trains there. Full load of beer, as we can see, with one passenger cart as well. Do you need supplying with the grain, or is this overland connection enough to keep you satisfied? You're looking pretty good so far. Yeah, 100%, so we don't need to worry about that. And of course, the meat that is coming in from Boston is going to help you grow as well, which is always a nice little added benefit. I wonder, can you buy industries on this? Can we buy that? 561,000. Well, let's go ahead and buy that. Oh, here we go. Here's the auction screen. There we go. Cost of the cost reduction. That's only cost us 300,000. That's really nice to see. So let's close that down. Can we resize it? Yes, we can. We're at level 2. So at level 3, that produces 9.6 per week. That'll cost us 500,000. You can go straight. No, that's interesting. So you can go straight to level 5 then. Well, that's a change. Not seen that. This is the first time I've bought an industry. But we will upgrade it because we have two cities connected to it that are both calling for the cattle, so it makes sense to get as much output from this cattle ranch as we possibly can. That'll stop this waiting around from eating into our line efficiency, because our trains can get a full load that little bit faster. How are you doing over here? Still at 100% demand satisfaction from overland, so we'll not worry about getting a train line set up to the grain farm just yet. And the tasks continue to tick away nicely in the background, which is exactly what we want to see happen. Let's have a look at the personnel list that we have here. We can hire an engineer, stoker, train personnel, security, or a saboteur. So what do we want to hire? Do we want to play about with this at this point, or shall we just leave that for another episode and just focus on the basics for now? Okay, so it looks like we've already filled up anyway. Now that must be done by default then, so that's ever so slightly different. Oh, maybe you don't actually hire them, but we can... Oh, I see, we can pay them a little bit more, for instance. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I understand how this works then. So we can change their working hours. We can be a good boss, have them work for only 6 hours per day. And that, I guess that means we must be paying them more. Oh no, it doesn't. We have to employ more of them. So if we had them on a 12-hour day, for instance, to cost us less, but obviously we trade off on efficiency there. So yeah, that's interesting to note. Saboteurs, well, I don't think we're going to bother with anything like that. Maybe not in this first chapter. Anyway, I don't think it's something we're going to really need. Just hopping down to Boston, we're experiencing growth here, which is great. Demand fulfillment of 65.1%. City buildings, and what can we build here? Increases the city's fulfillment and demand by 10% if we build a library. Can we do that? I'm guessing we cannot, because it's not going green or anything. What else can we build? A museum. Increases passenger volume. A university. Cover costs for scholarships. I'm not sure what that means. Factories. Here's all the factories. So very similar to the first railway empire. And then of course our railway buildings. Okay, that's why we can't build one, because it needs to be over 50,000 citizens. Museum 70, university 90, and I guess we have extra options later as we progress as well, looking at those 3 empty squares right there. How's our little industry doing that we've purchased? Get rid of that pop-up. 15 out of 62 cattle in storage, so we're producing plenty. I guess it's just the demand that is currently limiting how fast these are loading. For example, we probably see that the demand for the imported good meat has been reduced because it's reached maximum stock level. So that's why our trains are loading that little bit slower than usual. And that's fine, that's something we have to anticipate, and that was similar in Railway Empire number 1. And that's telling us the same thing in Boston as well. What's going off here? You're still, well, you're waiting to be loaded for a long time, for over 4 weeks, I see. Well, that must be because the demand for sugar is currently fully met in Boston, and we can verify that right here. Yeah, so look, they only need 0.2 per week, so we don't really need to get a lot of sugar being brought in here, so that's fine. That train will sit around at that station, and as and when they need the sugar, it will depart with hopefully a nice full load. Can we purchase this industry, do we think? Now that's the station, the meat industry. Can we buy it? Buy buildings. It's currently at level 1. We could probably boost that. Ooh. So we can't afford to start an auction on that, and there's every chance our competitor would put in a bid and drive that price up even higher as well. But the benefit to having that industry is, of course, we could level it up ourselves, and that would increase the demand for cattle in Boston. So we'd see a knock-on effect by having more profit on these trains. This would help this industry as well, and of course we'll be supplying more meat into Albany to help that grow, but we're already experiencing growth over here as we can see. So I think at the moment everything is pretty good. We've got our next set of research points, so let's get the speedometer. That increases the maximum speed of all early locomotives up to and including the John Bull by 5%. That's always going to help. The faster we are, the better. We've got a small breakdown here. What's a small breakdown then, do we think? Just a very quick one to repair? I guess that's what that means. Well, we have our maintenance builder. We did get one in Portland, didn't we? Yes, we did. But I did notice there is another thing you can purchase, and that's a maintenance post. It's built next to the tracks, and it reduces the chance of breakdowns on all nearby tracks. This building generates very high costs and should only be used to protect high traffic areas. So it only costs 10,000, but it costs a lot to run. So if we had it there, for instance, it'd cover all those areas and to just reduce the chances of our trains breaking down within the area of effect. But as we saw, or as it says right here, it costs a lot in terms of running the upkeep of it. So perhaps it's not something we desperately need right now, but it is something to bear in mind as we progress further through these scenarios. Up to 23,000 then in Boston, so slowly ticking up towards that magic 25 target. About 98 more passengers between Boston and Portland, or from Boston to Portland, I suppose I should say, and that task will be completed as well, so good progress being made on that front. Just out of curiosity, here is our competitor. Who is it? I don't know their names. But yep, they're from New York, and they've got lines out to Philadelphia, to Washington DC. Do they have lines to Pittsburgh? No, they don't. But they've got a few rural stations in and around the area. They go down to Charlottesville, and that looks about it. And as we can see, we can't build in this area, but we can purchase access. However, I don't think we really need to do that at this point in time. But obviously that's how that little system works, that little game mechanic. But we do have access up to, I think this is what's this, New Brunswick and all that sort of area, should we so desire. But of course, as we can see, there isn't much up here, so we don't need to start worrying about that. But we do have, is that salt? I guess that's salt, yes it is. We have salt and lumber up here by Bangor. We have a wool farm as well, a sugar farm on the coast. Milk up in Quebec, so we'd have to purchase access if we wanted to connect into that, but we do already have one here as well. I guess that's coal, yes, we have a coal mine nearby. Obviously this farm which is feeding into Albany overland, another wool farm, another logging camp, and then we're starting to encroach into their territory. But we do have corn and grain over here by Buffalo as well, so they're industries that we might want to connect to a little bit later. What's this? Apples or fruit. Okay. How close are we? We're getting there. Not too far off. Another 500 or so people in Boston, and just another, what's that, 34 or so into Portland from Boston. So you're waiting for him, who is it's just because the demand's not quite there in Portland, where meat industry, here we are. How much would it cost to buy? Oops, what we got here. So I guess that means Boston has now tipped over 25,000. Oh no, it's the transportation one that's done. The 25,000 should follow suit pretty quickly. We're only 90, oh no, even less now. So yeah, very close indeed. There we go. Let's just quickly pause it. That's our first 4 tasks done and dusted without too many dramas. We've got our first industry purchase, their Parker Ranch, and that's nice and profitable. It's made us 153,000 so far. Ooh, a nice little bonus there of 750,000. Thank you very much for that. And the new task list. What do we have? So, transport a total of 4,800 passengers. Doesn't specify any destinations or origin points, so I guess that's anywhere across the network. And grow Albany to 30,000. We're currently at 26.5, give or take a small handful. So we've already made good progress on that task. And is there anything else we can start bringing into Albany? We could start, well, the only thing they really need is corn. There's a small demand for sugar, 0.3 per week, as we can see. We do have a sugar farm, right, well, we don't own it, but there's a sugar farm right here, and we could just run a line into Albany to get some sugar brought in. As we saw a little while ago, we have a corn farm here by Buffalo as well, and that would have the added benefit of also bringing in some grain to just supplement the overland supply from this. So a line from here into Albany should help out, get Albany growing as fast as possible. Obviously, the more residents, the more passengers we have available to us, so that's going to help get this task completed as quickly as possible as well. But I think we'll leave all that for part 2. It's been about half an hour, including the introduction. So I think we'll leave it here for part 1. And yeah, we'll tackle these next 2 tasks in part number 2. So I hope you've enjoyed this first episode. It's probably, like I said, it's not going to be this is not going to be a pure efficiency playthrough, and we might not even get the perfect score, but that's not the aim of the game on this this run. It's just to get used to it and have a bit of a more casual, relaxed playthrough, and then a little bit later on when we're all familiar with the tips and the tricks and the best ways to go about things, we'll look at doing a series aimed at getting the best scores we possibly can. As always, a very special thank you to those of you who are supporting over on Patreon. Your support is absolutely fantastic and very much appreciated, so thank you very much for that. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, all that does remain for me to say is take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.